Hello everybody and welcome to TMI Live 45 something about files. It is Tuesday night, it is 9 p.m. Eastern, and here I am back in Eric McLuhan's library, the office, the scriptorium, the headquarters of the McLuhan Institute. Last week I was in the satellite office, but I'm staying close to home today. Actually, I've been going around and doing some much needed tidy up and cleaning because the place is a little bit out of hand. So you're not seeing me in my usual corner, which is around here. Let me take you for a tour. Flip the camera. Normally, I'm over here at my desk where I catalog books, and as you can see, the place is in a bit of a state of chaos, but today I'm taking you for a little bit behind the scenes look. Back here, let me back up so you can see, is Eric McLuhan's old desk, work area. This is where he did a lot of his writing and research, and these are some of his shelves, which in my inventory work, I'm back here on our McLuhan shelves. I've still to come all the way down here, then I'll come across and down there, and then I'll come into here. And here is more of, what is back here? Reference materials, special books. This is where Eric kept some of his editions, first editions of his works. Some special things like his copy of Finnegan's Wake. There's Lowell's Propaganda. So, yeah, speaking of propaganda, there's some propaganda, Connetti's Crowds and Power there. Works of Bacon. Over here we have Eric's collection of Egypt reference materials, and oh boy, that's a big topic to get into, but Eric McLuhan had a lifelong fascination with Egyptology, running from the pyramids and what they were built for, hint, they weren't tombs, up to Egyptian art, and he had an abiding interest in Egyptian art, and in fact wrote an incredible book on Egyptian art called The Dance of Ages, the thesis of which is that the canonical style of Egyptian art was deliberately drawn to be visually ambiguous in order to make it possible to animate. So yeah, it's a very interesting work. Haven't found a publisher for it yet, but that's why he has all this Egyptology stuff. Oh, up there is something. There's a little treasure. That's the TypeScript for Theories of Communication, which is a book I recommend highly. Over here is a little corner that I've created, a bit of a Marshall shrine. These are some of the books I'm most covetous of. A couple copies. Here's Marshall's presentation copy of Understanding Media, leather bound from the publisher. 2 copies. This was Corinne's copy that has Marshall's notes in it. Another copy that has Marshall's notes. And Howard Gossage got a credit for this for the cover design. I think the light bulb is Howard Gossage's addition to this book. We run from Marshall's first book, The Mechanical Bride, his second book, which wasn't The Gutenberg Galaxy, but actually was a collection of a selected poetry of Alfred Lord Tennyson, which Marshall put out with an introduction. Understanding Media, War and Peace in the Global Village. I don't have the presentation copy for The Medium is the Massage. Somebody else snapped that up, unfortunately, for me, but good for them. Cliched Archetype, Interior Landscape, Take Today. Laws of Media, of course. and then various McLuhan ephemera, some of his pipes. In a previous episode of TMI Live, I've read some of these letters from Corinne and Marshall McLuhan to each other from the early 1930s, and they're little treasures. And there's fun stuff like this giant floppy disk. Marshall McLuhan Garth Group, 1984. I have no idea what that's about. And probably never will. But I wanted to bring you back here. First of all, this is Dad's piano. Eric was a very accomplished piano player and won a few competitions back in the day. And the story goes that this was the family piano that, oh man, I'm not going to get the story right, but Dad showed up and hauled it away one day because he was promised it if he graduated. I think it was his BA. They said he could have the piano, so he took it, and we still have it. And my kids like to plunk around on it. Oh, here's one of the trophies from those competitions. But what I wanted to show you was this here, which I thought I'd spend a moment on. Up at the top there is something that's actually pretty interesting. Dad met an artist by the name of Robert Amos. That's his signature down there, Amos. And this is an illustration of one of the thunders in Finnegan's Wake. And you can see the actual thunder running along here all the way down. And you've got words brought out from the original text. If you've paid attention, you've heard me talk about Dad's work on Finnegan's Wake and the thunders before. He wrote his thesis on the Menippean thunder in Finnegan's Wake about these 1,000 letter long words. Anyway, this was a really cool collaboration between Robert Amos and Eric McLuhan, which didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. I don't know what the plan was to do with it. I think Dad met Robert Amos through Doug Copeland in BC, and somehow got him interested in that. I thought I'd take you through these files for just a second, because these are an important part of the work that I do, not quite on a daily basis, but very, very often. And this file in particular, these two drawers, have a near complete collection of everything Marshall McLuhan ever wrote, or was written, what am I trying to say, interviews with him, from his first writings to his last. And those are in these two file cabinets, and they go by year. This includes a list of what's in the National Archives in Ottawa and where to find it. And then we go year by year, starting with 1936, running all the way up. Where possible, there are original publications. For example, here, the Forum. Back here, newspapers, magazines. Coming up to the late 60s there. Obviously, later on, the file folders get fatter. And they run up right up through to 1980, the years of Marshall's death, and they go somewhat beyond. And what my dad was trying to do was collect everything that Marshall wrote and everything that was written about him. You see here it says McLuhan writings by and about. In order to have a complete bibliography of Marshall McLuhan's work. And part of the reason was for accuracy's sake. In our own research, it's obviously very important to, quote correctly and know where things come from. So whenever we come across a quote and we don't know where it's from, or we want to check the accuracy, we can refer to these files, and that is obviously very helpful. But it also makes for an interesting artifact, because it's really neat to go through year by year and see what Marshall wrote and was up to. It can be quite fascinating, and I've lost a lot of time in here. 1950 U of T Quarterly. I've lost a lot of time in here by going to look for one thing, and then you start flipping through a file, and you find something else, and it's fascinating. Where possible, there are also copies of typescripts, things that are in the National Archives in Ottawa. The main thing we are missing is copies of Marshall's early journals and diaries, and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, there's James Joyce, Trivial and Quadrivial, 1953. Pardon me. And yeah, this is just such a treasure trove, as you might imagine. Well, anybody interested in this stuff would find it to be a treasure trove. Oh, what's that there? I suppose that's... Well, let's pull something out. I'm going to set the camera up over here so we can have a look. Let's see what we got. I don't think I pulled this file. Just for an example, this is 1961. 1961. Big file. Can you see there? Okay. So, of course, what we have is the report on understanding new media. I'm not sure what this is. It says, to Marshall, small return for the many ideas I have received. Something from you with affectionate regards. I think that's Claude Bissell. This has a note in the back there, shelf 3, which means it was on Marshall's shelves in his library, and may have ended up at the Fisher Rare Book Library in Toronto, except it's in our files here. So I think this is a manuscript for a book by Claude Bissell, but I'm not entirely sure. This, of course, is the very important report on understanding new media, June 30th, 1960. Marshall McLuhan's report commissioned by the National Association of Educational Broadcasters in Washington. This is the material that would eventually become Understanding Media. Check that out. And is I'd sure love to publish it someday. It's a very interesting read. It's a very good read. Let's see what Dad has in 1960. Canadian Communications, Volume 2, Number 2, 1962. Two Aspects of the Communications Revolution, Marshall McLuhan, University of Toronto. And we have some typescripts, some articles. Anyway, I wasn't really going to do a big thing today. I'm actually not feeling all that great. Just wanted to check in and let you know I'm doing my thing. Hope you and yours are well. And we'll try to make next week more interesting somehow. If there's ever anything you want to know about McLuhan work or my work here in the Institute, in the library, in the satellite, let me know and I'll try to answer your questions. Maybe we'll do an Ask Me Anything or something. Try and do that. Okay, thanks everyone. Take care.